welcome to S.P.L.A.T.
Welcome.
It's Friday the 13th.
Yeah, well, not right now, but when you'll be watching this.
It is going to be Friday the 13th.
Oh, yeah.
So, today we're going to do something a little bit different on S.P.L.A.T. Or as the cool kids call it, sinister phantoms lurking amongst trees.
Yeah.
And we got a special, not Halloween, but spooky episode for you guys today. I don't think we are going to wear the masks the whole time because
No.
it's musty and it's probably impossible to hear us. So...
Ew, it was all dusty. Who fucking put all that dust in this mask?
Well, we are your masks.
Okay, well, don't go pointing fingers now.
All right. I mean, you asked is all I'm saying.
Just put them over here for right now.
Okay, so today we're going to be telling some spooky, scary stories.
Yeah, about spooky, scary skeletons.
Playing guitars.
Yeah.
So, I don't know what Barry's plan is, but my plan is I'm going to tell two scary stories. One of these scary stories is going to be a complete bullshit made-up tale, but it's fun. The other one is going to be an allegedly true tale that's also fun. And, Barry, I'm going to have you at the end guess which story was which.
Okay.
And if you guys want to guess too, you can, unless you already know.
You can guess along in the comments.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We've only gotten like 2, so it would help. And if you do know which story is real and which story is fake, wait until they're both done, and then you can tell. Yeah. So
I won't cast my vote till I've heard both stories.
Exactly. So there you go. So this is probably going to be on the longer side. Maybe.
Yeah.
So, without further ado, should we get spooky?
Let's
get started? Let's ado. All right. So this first story that I have for you, everybody, today.
Is it spooky?
It is spooky.
Is it groovy?
I don't know if it's groovy or not.
Okay.
But you know what is groovy? Your phone loading. And that's not happening right now.
I'm on my phone, and I was like, is my phone loading something?
Nope. Oh, man, I got a sorry, please try again later message.
Hey, if you want me to, I can do one of my really short ones.
Go ahead. Barry's going to start while I try to figure out how this fucking thing works.
So this one's kind of like PTSD inducing a little bit.
Okay. So trigger warning, maybe?
Maybe. So
I guess trigger warning for this whole episode because it's spooky stories.
Yeah, there's going to be a little...
Yeah, there's self-harm in one of mine, and so just trigger warning from here on out.
Okay, so these don't have titles. This one is number 4.
Number 4. Okay, cool.
Every night, I relive Barry and my comrades from the war in my dreams. Not because of the night terrors, but for the scratches on my arms and the dirt on the floor every time I wake up. That's it.
You know, that's a nice little teacup story time.
Yeah.
Like...
I love these ones because some of them are really good and some of them are, like, not great at all.
Are these, like, the 2-sentence horror stories?
No, they're just, like, really short ones you can read in under a minute.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah.
Well, this one you can't read in under a minute, so I'm going to go ahead and start. So this is a story about a husband and a girl named Lynn, his wife.
Is it short for Linda?
This story isn't short in any way. But I don't know, to answer your question. Okay. My wife Lynn and I have been together for around 6 years and married for 11 months. Our entire history together has been very normal, and never once have I noticed any weird behaviors or red flags. I can't stress enough how out of character this whole thing is for her. Lynn is very kind, intelligent, and thoughtful. She's always been the no-nonsense type of person. Being childish or trying to scare me is not something she would normally do. She doesn't even like watching horror movies. When we first started dating, she agreed to watch The Shining with me because she knew how much I liked horror. She was so scared that she didn't even make it through half of the movie before we had to turn it off. She isn't into anything creepy and has never been into pranks. It's just not her cup of tea. And that's fine. But what was so strange about this? Is what was so strange about this. It is just so unlike her. Sorry, I didn't do a lot of popcorn reading in school.
I didn't either.
I should also add that she had never... Okay, let's try that again. I should also add that she never had any mental health issues as far as I'm aware, and doesn't run in her family. I know some people are able to hide their mental health problems, but in the 6 years we have been together, I think I'd have seen some sort of sign. called alliteration.
Yeah.
Seen some sort of sign.
Seen some sort of sign.
For you.
Say that 5 times slow.
2 months ago, I was in the kitchen making myself some coffee before work. I was running late that morning and knew I wouldn't be able to make it to Dunkin' Donuts. I took a I took a sip of my coffee as I hurried down the hall towards the front door, when I happened to notice Lynn peeking at me from around the corner ahead of me. I could only see her eyes and a strand of long dark hair hanging against the wall. The rest of her body was concealed behind the corner. I nearly spilled my coffee when I saw her. I did burn the shit out of my lips. "Geez, Lynn," I said, wiping a few drops of coffee from my pants. "You scared the shit out of me." She immediately popped out of view like a little kid that had been caught. I heard her scurry off towards the living room, and by the time I got to the front door, she was out of sight. It was really weird, and just totally out of character for her, like I said, but I also found it kind of funny that she was being more playful and a little less serious. I shouted that I loved her, and I called her a weirdo. As I shut the door behind me, I heard her laughing. Her behavior was a bit odd, but it certainly wasn't something that I to call a priest over. I forgot. It's a weird way to categorize.
Yeah, it's like, guys, she's not a witch.
She's not. It's okay. I forgot about it by lunch, and by the time I got home, she was her normal self. I didn't bring it up, and neither did she, and life went on. The next incident happened 3 days later. It was around 2 a.m., and I had just gotten a drink. I was standing in the kitchen island, a jug of OJ in hand, when I felt a strong feeling that I was being watched. For whatever reason, I looked down at the floor, and then I saw my wife's smiling face staring back. She was peeking out at me from the other side of the island, staring up at me with unblinking eyes, and grinning like the Cheshire Cat. I screamed, I'll admit it, not out of irritation, but fear. For some reason at that moment, I was scared. At the sound of my scream, Lynn scuttled backwards out of my view, her hands and feet smacking the tile floor as she hurried out of the kitchen on all fours. I didn't run after her or even yell after her. I just stood there, frozen in shock, wondering what the fuck had possessed her to do that. It took me a little longer than I'd like to admit to go back upstairs, but I eventually did. When I got to our bedroom, Lynn was lying on her side, asleep, or at least pretending to be. I stood there for a while, watching her breathing to be sure she was really asleep. I had the feeling that she might jump out at me at the moment I got into bed, but she didn't. I climbed into bed and she didn't even move. Her breathing was soft and deep, and I was starting to wonder if I'd dreamt the whole thing. The next morning, I waited for her to come down for coffee, and after handing her mug and kissing her cheek, I decided to ask her about last night. "What was that thing about last night?" I asked, keeping my tone so light so I didn't offend her or embarrass her. She frowned over her cup of coffee, shaking her head like she had no clue what I was referring to. "You were peeking at me again, from over there," I said, pointing to the spot on the floor by the kitchen island. She followed my gaze, and when she looked back at me, she burst out laughing. She laughed so hard that I couldn't help but join her. "You creep me the fuck out sometimes, you know that?" I said. She giggled to herself and set her cup on the counter and wrapped her arms around my neck. "You creep me out all the time, too, so I guess we're even," she teased. We said our goodbyes and left for work. As I drove, I kept thinking about how creepy it had been seeing her grinning at me from behind the island like that. The sounds her hands made on the floor as she crawled away. I told myself she was just trying to be silly, just trying to join me in my love of all things horror. It's not that I was afraid of her, but it still didn't sit right with me. I started seeing her peeking at me more and more. Sometimes she'd be peeking out from behind the couch or the living room curtains. Once she'd even managed to get inside her grandmother's old trunk that sits in the front of our bed. I might not have even known she was there at all had the trunk's old hinges not given her away. She'd had the lid propped up just enough so that only half of her face peeked through. She'd been grinning like an excited toddler. It was unnerving. I didn't even know what to say to her. All I could do was stare. When I finally found my voice, I asked her why on earth she was doing this. She didn't answer, but she had just slowly closed the lid, shutting herself inside the trunk. I just walked away, feeling disturbed. I didn't understand why she was doing it, but it clearly just made her happy. I hoped she would tire of the game quickly. Lynn didn't peek at me for the next 2 weeks. I started to think she was done with her weird prank, and I was relieved. We were watching a show on Netflix one night, and I jokingly said that I hadn't seen her peeking at me lately, and that she must have given up with her spy game. She looked up at me with a small smile and said, "Maybe I've just gotten better at it." I didn't say anything, but I wondered whether or not she was joking. For the next few days, I couldn't stop thinking about what she'd said. Was she still peeking at me when I wasn't looking and just hadn't noticed? And if so, what the hell was she getting out of this? I started to feel paranoid, constantly checking whether she was watching from around the corner or behind a door. I was jumpy whenever I was home and she wasn't in full view of me. I felt stupid and a little crazy. But after weeks without another incident, I began to relax. I stopped checking behind furniture and walls and told myself that it was just a bad memory. Then a few days ago, things got so much worse. Lynn left to go to a friend's house, and I lounged on the couch and played a couple of games on my laptop.
Man, playing
Probably,
League.
yeah, probably a hit game, Minecraft.
Minecraft.
Yeah, that
Have you seen all the Minecraft memes?
no.
Because like they have the mob vote right now,
Oh shit, yeah,
and
yeah, yeah.
people are like revolutionize against it. Like,
So he was mob voting on his laptop, and around 9 p.m. I hopped in the shower. As I was washing the soap from my hair, I felt that awful feeling that I was being watched. I slowly opened my eyes and almost had a heart attack. Lynn was peeking from behind the shower curtain, her entire head stretched into the shower, leaving just her body outside. Her long dark hair hung against the curtain, the ends dripping with water, her mouth hung open in a terrible grin, eyes wide and red as if she hadn't blinked in a while. I screamed and jumped back against the wall. She didn't move, nor did her smile waver. Her makeup ran down her cheeks in two black streaks. She looked giddy and completely deranged. I was terrified. We stood like that for a few moments, neither of us saying a word. Finally, after what felt like forever, she slowly pulled her head back out of the shower, and I watched her blurry figure through the curtain as she moved backwards towards the bathroom door. A second later, the bathroom door slammed shut again, just hard enough to rattle the mirror. I screamed again and jumped out of the shower to lock the door. I stayed inside the bathroom for over an hour. Maybe I was overreacting to some of you, but joke it or not, I wasn't going to put up with the crazy shit anymore. That's what I kept telling myself as I paced in my bathroom, stopping to listen at the door every few minutes. Suddenly, I heard a muffled sound and pressed my ear against the bathroom door, straining to listen. I couldn't hear anything, but I envisioned Lynn standing outside the other door, giggling at her joke. I felt a surge of anger. I was beyond pissed at, and it made me feel scared in my own house, and made to hide in the bathroom for an hour. All for what? Some joke? If it was a joke, it was an awful one. What the fuck, Lynn? I snapped. This shit is getting really fucking annoying. I waited for her to apologize or call me a jerk, but instead I heard a faint moan. So quiet I wondered if I heard it at all, and then complete silence. Lynn, I called out, not even able to hide my shakiness in my voice. I got no response, just my own heavy breathing. I swear to God, just fucking stop it, I yelled, pounding my fist on the door. I waited for her to cuss me out, something I would expect from me talking to her like that. I never screamed at her before, but there was nothing. Just the occasional drip from the shower head. I won't deny that I was scared. Too afraid to open the damn door and face my own wife. I waited another 30 minutes or so. That's why I feel that, which feels like a lifetime when you're scared. Finally, I decided I wasn't going to spend the night hiding in my bathroom, so I got down on my knees and peered under the door. I almost expected to see her face peeking back at me, but thankfully I didn't. I couldn't see straight down the hallway to the top, or I could see straight down the hallway to the top of the stairs, but no Lynn. I didn't know if I should be happy or scared about that. I looked for a few minutes, waiting to see her head pop up over the top step, but it never came. I stood up, my hand hovering over the door, and mentally prepared myself to open it. I slowly turned the lock with shaky fingers and was about to yank it open when I heard a sound that still makes me nauseous when I think about it. A moan, louder than before, but this time I was able to tell where it was coming from. I turned my head to the closet door, as if in slow motion, and locked eyes with my wife, who was peeking out at me from the slight gap. Her eyes were still wide as ever, and her mouth was hanging open in the most grotesque, gaping smile I'd ever seen. I didn't even scream. I was too scared for that. Her hands were clasped to her chest, body trembling with sheer delight, as if she could barely contain her excitement. A short, raspy moan bubbled up from her throat, deep and raw, sending a shiver through my entire body. Somehow I found the ability to pull the bleh. Somehow I found the ability to pull the bathroom door open and ran as fast as I could all the way down the steps, snagging my keys and phone from the table in the living room before running outside to my car. I could hear her shrill laughter behind me, but I didn't hear her getting closer. I didn't bother shutting the front door. I drove away from the house faster than I legally should have, shivering the entire time, either from fear or the cold. Maybe a little of both. I hadn't grabbed a coat or even a pair of shoes. I was still in my boxers and my hair was damp. I drove straight to my brother Chris's house, about 40 minutes away, ignoring any and every call and text that I got. I didn't check my phone until I was safely parked in my brother's driveway. Lynn had called 4 times and sent a flurry of texts, all wondering where I'd gone and why I left like that. I threw my phone at the dash in a rage, furious at her nonchalant attitude. My brother and his wife were surprised to see me, especially dressed in just a pair of boxers, but they told me to stay as long as I needed. Chris lent me some clothes and asked what had happened. I told him that Lynn and I had a fight, but I didn't get into any of the details. I didn't want him to think I was overreacting, leaving my own wife over a prank, even if it was a strange one. I mean, hadn't I encouraged her for years to lighten up instead of being so serious all the time? I had wanted her to relax and loosen up, but this was definitely not what I'd had in mind. I tried to sleep on their sofa, but my brain wouldn't let me sleep. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw Lynn's face staring at me from inside the closet. Knowing she'd been in there with me the entire time, it made my skin crawl. She'd never left the fucking bathroom at all. Instead, she'd slipped inside the closet door, and slammed the bathroom door shut to fool me. The mere thought of going back home gave me anxiety. I tossed and turned, unable to sleep. Chris ended up giving me a sleeping pill so I was able to get a little rest. My sleep was filled with terrible dreams, all of Lynn's smiling face. I woke up just as the sun started to rise. My sore body ached from the sofa, and I felt drained, knowing that I'd have to call Lynn at some point, but I didn't know what I would say to her. I wouldn't be going home unless she gave me her word she'd never do any more creepy shit. I just wanted my wife back. Her normal, serious self never looked so good to me. I was contemplating calling her and telling her that, but when the familiar feeling came over me, I was being watched. I was staring at the ceiling, my heart in my throat. I didn't want to look away, but the longer I ignored the feeling, the worse it got. My eyes drifted away from the ceiling almost on their own. Her face was pressed up against the glass window beside the couch, staring down at me with the same gaping smile. Drool dribbled down her lips, leaving two long streaks down the glass. I didn't know how long she'd been there, but something told me she'd been there quite a while, possibly all night. I didn't bother screaming though. I was afraid anger trumped any fear that I felt at the moment. I jumped up from the couch and pounded my palm against the glass. Lynn, are you crazy? What the hell is wrong with you? Just go home. Now, I shouted. She didn't move, and her ghastly expression never changed. If anything, her smile only grew, as if she'd never been more elated. I could hear Chris and his wife moving around upstairs. As if Lynn could hear them too from her place outside, her head twitched slightly in their direction, and she began to close her mouth slowly. Chris called my name from upstairs, obviously concerned. I turned to see him and his wife Rebecca hurrying down the steps. When I turned back to the window, Lynn was gone. The only sign she'd been there at all was two streaks of drool still dripping down the glass. I tried to explain to Chris and Rebecca about waking up to see Lynn watching me through their window. They were skeptical. Who wouldn't be? Chris and I went outside to the spot of the window, but there were no footprints in the dirt, just a slight indent. Animal, probably, Chris guessed, and I didn't argue. He and Rebecca assumed that I had dreamt the entire episode, but they didn't understand, and I was too tired to explain it to them. I called out of work that day, and I turned my cell off. I didn't want to face Lynn. Just talking to her was too much for me at that point. I really started to believe that something was irreversibly wrong with her, that no matter what promises she'd made, we'd never be the same again. The thought saddened me to my core. I cried most of the morning. By noon, I figured I was ready to comfort her. Give her one last chance to explain herself. I could at least give her that after 6 years, I told myself. I turned my phone on and saw the dozen texts that she'd sent me, all from a seemingly concerned wife. Can we talk? I love you. Please call me. I'm really worried. Can you answer? Just come home. And more of the same. All texts telling me that she loved me and that she wanted me home. How worried she was. Not a damn one addressing the crazy shit she pulled. Like she hadn't been acting like a character from a Stephen King book. Even her texts were different. She normally texted novels just to tell me to pick up a loaf of bread. You'd think she'd have more to say after that, after her bizarre shenanigans. Um, I know it probably seems childish to some of you who are miles away from this situation, but if you saw the way Lynn had looked at me, how she scampered away on all fours like some wild animal, grinning at me from inside the closet like a lunatic, then I think you'd find my reaction warranted. I ended up staying with Chris and Rebecca for another night. I didn't wake up yesterday until afternoon, and thankfully I didn't see Lynn's face watching me from the window. I don't want to pry because it's not my place, but is this fight something that can be mended? Rebecca asked. She made us both a sandwich for lunch, um, and I knew she'd want to breach the subject without seeming nosy. I don't know. She's like a different person, I said, choosing my words carefully. I still wasn't ready for her or Chris to know the full extent of the batshit craziness I had been dealing with. People change, Ben, but she's still the same woman you married. Maybe you both just need to talk through your issues. Whatever's going on, I'm sure it can be fixed, she said, ever the peacemaker. I think it's beyond that now. I don't think that talking would help. I just don't trust her, I said. The words stung in my heart. I missed and loved my wife. But how could I live with someone like that? Living in constant fear didn't sound too appealing. Lynn loves you. She has to be absolutely crushed, she said. I don't know about that, I said. Well, she certainly seemed like it to me. I never seen her so upset Very much unlike the Lynn I know, Rebecca said, shaking her head sadly. It took a full minute for her words to really sink in, and when they did, I felt dread worming its way through my skin. Wait, what do you mean? You saw her? You saw Lynn? I asked, my mouth suddenly dry. Rebecca nodded casually, as if that fact wasn't nightmare fuel. Maybe for her it wasn't. She stopped by this morning, just after Chris left for work, she said, cleaning up the plates from the table. I didn't see her car, though. Maybe she just took an Uber or something. Rebecca, what did you just say? Did she come inside? I asked, sweating and starting to break out on my forehead. I began looking around, examining the corners as though a predator lurked behind them. No, she just asked if you were awake yet, and I said that you weren't. I asked if she wanted me to wake you up, but she said no. Just said to let you sleep. She said as she washed the dishes. That's all? She didn't say anything else? I asked. No, she looked awful, though, like she hadn't slept in days. I think you should call her. I got up from the table and thanked Rebecca for lunch. I felt a little bit better at the knowledge that at least she hadn't come inside. Still, I needed to double check that the doors were all locked. I sat down for a while, trying to figure out what to do next. I didn't want to go home, but I felt that I owed it to Lynn to help her if I could. Hadn't I sworn oath to love and honor her through sickness and in health? Clearly, she was very sick. If she was sick, which I truly believed that she was, I had to try to get her the help that she needed. But I didn't even know where to start. I didn't want to call the police, and besides, what the hell was I going to do with them? Or what the hell was I going to tell them? That my wife was peeking at me? That she was being creepy? As bizarre as she'd been, she still hadn't committed any crime. Not yet, anyway. The police would have probably said that I was overreacting, but this wasn't some prank. It felt wrong, dangerous even, like something sinister lurked beneath her smile. I knew as her husband, I was well within my it was well within my rights to have her committed. But what if she simply acted normal in their presence? She'd obviously been able to fool Rebecca into thinking she was just a concerned wife. As long as the doctors didn't find her a danger to herself or others, she'd have no choice but to release her after 72 hours. I felt lost and overwhelmed. So, I did what any husband in my position would do. I called her mother. I didn't want to, believe me.
I thought it was like I called her mother.
Mommy! I didn't want to, believe me. Her mother, Marianne, and I were never on the best of terms. We never fought or anything like that. She just wasn't a very warm person, and wasn't easy to get along with. She hardly ever smiled, and when she did, only her lips would move back into a thin lip smile, leaving her eyes as blank as before. She gave off this aura that felt like she was permanently on the offensive. I'd only met her twice, and both times were for such short visits. I got the impression she didn't approve of me for her daughter. Lynn always ushered us out very quickly, and she didn't want me to feel uncomfortable, which I was grateful for. Being in her mother's company felt almost unbearable, like walking on glass. I was glad that when we moved 3 states away, because we didn't have to see her very often. I was happy to avoid the woman, but I really needed her help. I didn't want to talk to her about it at all, but I had to talk to someone and get someone who knew Lynn better than I did, so I grit my teeth and did what I had to do. Yes, she answered, sounding irritated already. Marianne, it's me, Ben. Do you have a minute to talk? I asked. I could hear the cluck in her tongue in irritation. I'm in the middle of writing some checks, but if you insist, I suppose I can spare a moment. What is it that you need to discuss, Benjamin? She said coolly. It's about Lynn. She's been acting strangely, and I was wondering if you'd had any idea if there was something. I was quickly interrupted. It's a bit difficult to follow your rambling, Benjamin. What is it that you want from me? She asked. I could almost see her standing there in her thin sweater and slacks, tapping her fingernails impatiently on the table. I wanted to know if you'd ever noticed any odd behavior, or possibly any mental health issues, I asked. There was a long and uncomfortable pause that I couldn't tell was because she was just thinking or something else. Finally, after a few seconds, she spoke. I'm not sure if this is one of your jokes, Benjamin, but if so, I don't find the humor in it. Now, I do have business to attend to, so as I've said, so if you don't mind, she said before I cut her off, before she could get rid of me. Marianne, it's not a joke. I'm sincerely concerned about Lynn's mental health. Her behavior has been very erratic lately. I'm very worried about her and figured as her mother you would be as well, I said, my frustration evident in my voice. If you're truly concerned, then I suggest you get the health professionals involved. I don't know what you expect of me, she snapped. I could tell she was seconds away from hanging up the phone, and for some reason I was desperate not to let her. I had the feeling that she knew a lot more than she was letting on. Please, if not for me, do it for Lynn, I tried. I heard a faint, shaky intake of breath, as if she were trying to hold her steely persona together, but fading. Marianne, what's wrong? I started. Benjamin, I don't know what to tell you. My only advice would be to seek professional help. Do not call here again. Goodbye. I tried to call out to her before she hung up. I tried to wrap my head around the call and her refusal to help me. Even if she didn't like me, why wouldn't she want to help her own daughter? I couldn't understand that. I tried to replay the conversation, desperate to find something that I missed. After a while, I almost gave up, um, until I remembered her last words to me: seek professional help. She said those words with a bit of urgency. I could have just been grasping at straws, but no, I was sure her voice had changed ever so slightly when she said that, as if they were very important. What had she meant? I assumed that she had been referring to medical professionals, but maybe she was referring to someone else. Someone that she didn't, for some reason, feel comfortable saying directly. Or maybe I was just desperate. I waited for Chris to get home, and after a very long and exhausting conversation with him and Rebecca, I convinced them that Lynn truly needed psychiatric help. I didn't tell them everything. I wasn't prepared to go into it yet, but I told them about our last encounter, how she'd hidden in the bathroom peeking at me from the closet. They were obviously shocked, but thankfully they believed me. They too just wanted to help her. Still, they didn't think it was all that serious. Weird, maybe, but not dangerous. They just kept saying that maybe Lynn had been playing some kind of weird joke. Maybe for YouTube, Rebecca offered, if only half heartedly. Chris didn't think we should involve the police just yet. He offered to go with me instead, and I readily accepted. He reasoned that calmly talking to her, trying to coax her into willingly going, was the best recourse. I agreed to do it his way. At least I wouldn't be going into the house alone. We drove over this morning, just after breakfast. There was no way I was going at night. When we pulled into the driveway, my stomach began doing somersaults. Her car wasn't there, but I still didn't let my guard down. The front door was ajar, and for a split second I thought we'd see her eyes staring through the gap. I was shaking and starting to sweat. Chris, however, was fine. He waited for me to open the door, his hands in his pockets, like he was going on a fucking stroll through the park. I envied his ignorance. I pushed the door open and was immediately hit with the stench of rot. Chris smelled it too, and he walked into the house behind me with his nose scrunched up. What do you guys use to clean the floors around here? Shit, Chris mumbled. Shut up, I said, my eyes darting around for any signs of Lynn. The house was deadly quiet and dark despite being 10 o'clock in the morning. All the curtains were closed up tight, refusing to allow any sunlight inside. If I hadn't left 2 days prior, I'd have thought the house to be abandoned. We moved through each room, carefully checking any place she might be, occasionally calling her name. Why the fuck are you looking under the couch? Chris asked eventually. Aren't we looking for your wife? He was looking at me like I was a moron. Let's just go upstairs, I whispered. He shook his head and followed me up the stairs to check the bathroom and the spare bedroom. On the way up, my shoes crunched over pieces of glass that looked to be littered over a few steps. I noticed that the one of Lynn on my wedding and my wedding portraits that hung on the wall along the staircase had been smashed. The frame hung crookedly, all the glass removed. I stared at the picture, a lump forming in my throat. We had taken that photo just after leaving the church, after saying our vows. She looked so beautiful in her white gown. I looked at Lynn's beautiful face. I never dreamed her face would ever be a source of terror for me. We climbed up the rest of the steps and checked the spare bedroom, but it looked completely untouched. I was hesitant to go into the bathroom, my fear from that night coming back to me all at once. Chris noticed and offered to go in by himself, but I couldn't let him do that. So we walked in together, checking the closet and the shower. The bathroom looked as if it hadn't been touched since I left. I don't think she's here, Ben. Why don't you pack up some clothes and we'll try coming back tomorrow or something? Chris said. I nodded and went into our bedroom and shoved some clothes into a duffel bag. When I checked inside of our closet, I came across the source of the smell and gagged. Chris took one look at our closet, and lost all color in his face. He had to go stand by the stairs to get away from the sight and the smell. I gazed down in shock at what lay inside my bedroom closet. Soaking into a rug were at least a dozen eyeballs, carefully laid out in pairs. Some were as large as a quarter, while others were as tiny as marbles. I stared down at the eyes she had collected from small animals and wondered how she'd gotten them, and I shuddered at the thought. Man, I thought I had it bad with Becca's shoe addiction, but fuck me, your wife's in here collecting eyeballs, Chris said, gagging. Ben, I think we should go, he called from the hall. I'm getting nauseous. All right, I grabbed my duffel and shut the closet door on my new nightmare. I stepped out into the hall and took a deep breath of air. I could taste the rot on my tongue and I couldn't help but gag. Who the fuck lines up eyeballs in their closet like that? Chris mumbled. I tried to tell you she needed help, I said. She doesn't need help, Ben. She needs a fucking exorcist, he said. You coming or what? I can't smell. I can't stand the smell anymore. His words died out in his throat and his eyes grew wide with fear. I didn't ask him why. I could feel it. Someone was watching me, and I didn't think it was the eyes in the closet. I turned around, my eyes slowly scanning the bedroom. Christ, I whispered. So I shouldn't. I whispered as I finally saw what we missed. Under the bed, curled on her side, watching us with the excitement of kids on Christmas morning, was my wife. She held her hands together just under her chin, and they were shaking eagerly. Now that she knew she had been found, I could hear the quiet noises she was making, a sort of hiccuping sound in her throat, as if the excitement was just too much for her. It was unnerving to say the least. Wide eyes and that same huge smile. Everything in me told me to run, but I forced it away. This was my wife. No matter how twisted she was still the woman I married. I had to help her. Lynn, I said softly. She didn't respond, but her head bobbed back and forth in two quick little movements as if she was nodding. Baby, I just want to help, okay? Can you let me do that? I asked. I had taken a single step forward, approaching her like some kind of dangerous animal. I love you, Lynn, I said softly, taking another step closer. She let a tiny moan escape her wide open mouth, and I had to resist the urge to run. Her shoulders were starting to quiver, and her eyes grew large as saucers. I crouched down so I could see her better, and immediately saw the blood. Her hands were covered in it. They trembled more the closer I got, as if she was barely able to contain herself. Lynn, are you hurt? You're bleeding, I said. She bobbed her head again, her bloody fingers moving up and down as if they were playing an invisible piano. They occasionally grazed her chin, leaving smears of blood on her skin. I wanted to recoil in disgust. The smell that was coming off of her was revolting. I could feel the vomit trying to climb up my throat. Her lips were dry and stretched thin, blood seeping between the cracks. I knew she wouldn't have come out on her own, but I didn't want to leave her in the state she was in. I scooted closer and reached out to her. The excited hiccuping sounds got louder as her hand shook, her fingers flexing. It was then that I could see the blood oozing from in between her fingers. Oh my God, Lynn, you're bleeding, I said. Instinctively, I reached out to take her hand, but before I could even touch her, her hand sprang out towards me. A sharp pain shot through my arm, and I fell back on my ass. My arm burned, and I could see the blood dripping down onto the carpet. I looked back at her in shock and saw her grinning madly, her fingers clutching a large shard of glass. You all right in there? Chris asked from behind me. I turned my head slightly and nodded to him, cradling my arm to my chest. When I turned back to face Lynn, I saw that her focus had shifted. She wasn't looking at me anymore, and she wasn't smiling either. She was staring past me, her eyes glaring at Chris the way a hungry lion might stare at an antelope. Her mouth was still hanging open, and it was twisted into a snarl. I got to my feet and began walking backwards down the hall. I was afraid to take my eyes off of her. Are you bleeding? Chris asked. The moment the words left his mouth, Lynn started fast scooting out from under the bed, the glass shard still in her fist. Chris, run! Go! I yelled. He must have been too afraid to move because a second later I felt my back bump into him. He was still standing at the top of the stairs, staring at the horror that was my wife. Lynn had crawled completely out from under the bed, um, and stood in the bedroom doorway, her face twisted in rage. Her whole body was visibly tense. Blood ran down her fingers and onto the floor. Jesus, Lynn, Chris said. You, playing hide and seek? I reached back and pushed him towards the steps. Move your ass, Chris, I said quietly. Again, me messing up this quietly shit, but firmly as I could. Lynn bobbed her head in fast, sharp motions and began to grin, stretching her mouth open wider and wider so that her chin seemed to touch her chest. I heard Chris mutter a prayer, and then he was running down the stairs. I stood at the top of the steps, stuck between the love for a woman who clearly needed serious help and self-preservation. I only want to help, I said, choking back tears. Her eyes focused on me once again as she slowly lifted up the glass, holding it out in front of her, and then she started sprinting towards me, grinning with utter excitement. Thankfully, my body took over and I flew down the stairs, skipping 2 or 3 at a time. I made it out to the front door before I felt her leap onto my back, wrapping her arms around my neck, her open mouth next to my ear so that I could hear those terrible hiccuping sounds up close. I shook her off me, knocking her to the floor. I felt a searing pain in my back as she went, but I tore open the front door and bolted to my car. Chris was standing in the front yard, talking on the phone with the police. I didn't say a word. I just ran to my car and jumped in. Chris took the hint and followed me, still on the line with 911. I reached the rearview mirror. I watched the rearview mirror, sure I'd see her running after us, but I never did. I went straight to the ER and got 11 stitches in my arm and 3 on my back. The police asked a lot of questions and went back to the house to do a search, but of course, Lynn wasn't there. They advised me to stay with a friend or a relative for a while and to file a restraining order as soon as I could, but none of those things would matter. Somehow I just knew. I dropped Chris off at home and I went to a motel an hour away. I wanted to put as much distance between me and Lynn as I could. This is where I've been for the last 4 hours. I thought maybe the police would find her, maybe they'd get her the help she desperately needs, but now I don't think so. Because 40 minutes ago, I just got a text from an unknown number. Just 3 words. I found you. And a picture attached. The picture was it was dark and grainy, but I instantly knew what it was. There was no mistaking my wife's eye. I started typing this out immediately after. I don't know what to do, but I'm alone and scared, and I can't help but feel that I'm still being watched. So there's your first
I
story.
like it.
Yeah, that's a fun story.
Yeah.
It's quite long, but it's nice because
Yeah.
it builds.
Yeah.
So if that one is real, okay, what's your initial thought? Are you thinking this is real, or are you thinking this is bullshit?
I'm thinking it could be.
Okay,
It's like it's plausible. Like nothing
It is.
really supernatural happens.
exactly. Okay.
I hope it's not real.
Well, this next one is not nearly as long.
Mm.
And
I just think it's funny that at some points you sounded like those AIs that read the Reddit thing.
oh, did I actually?
Yeah.
That's so funny.
And I was like, should I put like Subway Surfers on the bottom?
Honestly, if you want to, go for it.
It's like a Reddit story time.
Okay, so again, this next one, this is not like a recent story. This is a story that happened a long time ago. Again, it could be fake.
In a galaxy far, far away.
Well, no, in Germany. So I get, so
it's kind of like
you could say that this is bullshit somebody made up, or you could say that this is actually a real historical account. It's up to you. Well, it's not up to you. It's up to me because I know which one's real.
Oh.
But and again, if you've heard this before and you know it's fake, or if you know it's real, don't say anything. Just wait until it's over. So okay. Anneliese Michel was born in 1952 in a small town called Klingenberg in Bavaria, West Germany. Her family were devout Catholics. Her father sought to become a priest, and 3 of her aunts were already nuns. Unfortunately, Michelle's mother believed her family was already dealing with a cloak of shame that the entire family had to atone for. Anneliese and her 3 sisters endured a life of austerity. The girls were not allowed to play with other children and spent most of their time indoors praying. Unfortunately, Anneliese grew up getting sick on many occasions. She had to battle measles, mumps, and scarlet fever at a young age. In addition, the young girl was skinny and often suffered from other ailments. In 1984, Annaliese's mother had bore a child out of wedlock, which brought much shame to her family. At the time, they made her wear black on her wedding day to signify her sin. Afterward, her mother worked hard to atone for those sins and practiced extreme purity. Naturally, this pressured Anneliese to regularly atone for the sins of others while having to sleep on the floor as a penance for the drug addicts who slept on the ground themselves. Her family also attended mass twice a week, and the family's other activities. Anneliese struggled with the harsh life, but suffered in silence, and by 16 years old, she was diagnosed with physical and psychological disorders. In 1968, Annaliese's life started to take a drastic turn. At 16, she experienced inexplicable blackouts. Michelle would go into a trance-like state during the first blackouts and walk aimlessly. Unfortunately, she would wet the bed during these trances. Her friends and family described these trances as disturbing. Unfortunately, Annaliese's problems were just beginning. She suffered from the same attack and wet the bed again a year later. Afterward, it seemed that Anneliese had more hardships to come. When her family took her to the doctor, the visit was a waste of time since the physician could find nothing wrong with her. In 1970, Anneliese was hospitalized with a case of tuberculosis. While recovering, Anneliese claimed that she could hear odd sounds and voices and experienced euphoria. The family decided to visit a neurologist to determine what was wrong with her. Shortly after meeting with the neurologist, she was diagnosed with temporal lobe epilepsy. She could suffer from seizures, loss of memory, and experience visual and auditory hallucinations. Her traumatic life had also had her in the grip of depression and anxiety, to make matters worse. And as a result, she started to hear voices that no one else could hear and see things that weren't there. One might consider that Annaliese's life would improve once she was diagnosed correctly, but that was not the case. Her mental state continued to decline, especially since her epilepsy likely caused Geschwind syndrome, a disorder plagued by hyperregulosity. She was prescribed Zentrapil to help her control her seizures, but the drug did not deter her attacks. Anneliese registered for the University of Würzburg in 1973 and continued her studies, yet she fell more into depression and believed that she was damned. Believing demons possessed her, her situation continued to worsen. She would have daylight hallucinations of devil faces everywhere she looked, complained of a sore throat, and had her tonsils removed. Suddenly, Anneliese became averse to religious symbols, stopped attending Mass, and refused to drink holy water or eat before a crucifix. While her parents did what they could to help their daughter, Annaliese's behavior became more and more bizarre. Reports indicate that she licked her urine from the floor, stripped naked, and ate insects. Her mother mentioned a disturbing behavior where Annalise compulsively performed hundreds of squats a day until she ruptured the ligaments in her knees. At this point, she crawled under a table and barked like a dog for 2 days. Her family wanted to seek further medical attention, but Annalise begged for the religious intervention even after being denied an exorcism twice before. As a last resort, her parents took her to Ernest Alt, who believed in her possession, stating she did not look like an epileptic, and Alt petitioned the local bishop Joseph Stangl to help. Father Arnold Renz, a priest experienced in carrying out exorcisms, and Ernest Alt performed the rite. The Catholic Church hesitated to perform an exorcism on Annalise Michel. They only agreed to do so after much convincing and only after obtaining compelling evidence of her possession. On September 24th, 1975, Father Renz performed the first of many rituals. The first exorcism revealed at least 6 demons inhabiting Annalise's body. 6 demons known only as Lucifer, Cain, Judas Iscariot, Adolf Hitler, Nero, and Fleischmann. Fleischmann? I don't know. Yeah, probably a disgraced priest. All continued, all contended for dominance inside of her body. They restrained her for hours during these recorded sessions while the priests performed the rites, but to no avail. Slowly but surely, Annalise stopped eating and her body began to diminish. By the 67th exorcism, Annalise was unrecognizable. She had wasted 68 pounds and was covered in bruises and bed sores. Annalise was also dehydrated and malnourished, and her hair had started to fall out. Nevertheless, the exorcisms continued until she died of malnutrition and dehydration in July of 1976. Believing that Annalise had sacrificed herself for the sins of youth, the priests and her family thought her to be a martyr. Unfortunately, the state of Bavaria did not see it that way and charged all 4 individuals with negligent homicide, and the defendants all pleaded not guilty. So there you go. That's that story about a crazy German demonic possession.
Yeah.
So which one do you think is real, or do you already know that one is real or fake?
So I don't know. I haven't heard these ones before.
Oh, good.
I don't know.
What are you leaning towards?
I'm leaning towards the second one, just because the first one seemed a little like somebody maybe wrote it.
Sure. Okay.
Kind of thing. Like there was a lot of like flair in that one.
Sure.
And this one had like beats and stuff.
Yeah.
Which like isn't impossible to do in fiction.
Exactly.
Stuff, but it's like it had more.
It had more credibility, almost. Okay. Yeah. So which one are you gonna go with?
I'm gonna go with the second one was real.
And you are correct.
Let's go.
The demonic possession of Annalise Michel was real, and it was made into a movie called The Exorcism of Emily Rose.
Ooh, okay.
Now,
I'll have to watch that. It's
a very good movie. Now there is some weird things to note about this exorcism. So all of the priests, they were found guilty, sentenced to 6 months in jail and 3 months probation. However, the autopsy showed that Annalise's brain never showed any signs of epileptic damage, even on a microscopic level. So she never had any seizures, apparently, which is really weird.
Yeah.
Annalise Michel's life was plagued by tragedy. Okay. Yeah. But now I'm gonna put a massive warning here because this is really freaky. There are some recordings of this actual exorcism taking place. They're very grainy, very hard to hear. I do warn people, these are very fucking creepy. That is coming out of the throat of a 23-year-old girl. And you can put these, I'm going to send these pictures to you.
Yeah.
But this is what she looked like as a normal girl.
Yeah.
Looks a very normal girl.
Yeah.
This is what she looked like during the exorcisms. Hang on. Let me get a good.
I like how the sound she produced is what sound that I would make when my mom was like, "You can't get this Lego set as a kid."
So that's what she looked like during the exorcisms.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
She looks like Uma Thurman kind of.
I don't know if that's offensive to her or Uma Thurman. But yeah, there are a couple of like she looks like she's in her 60s there, but she's still 20. Holy shit. So she really went through it apparently. And you can find, I'm not going to play the whole video, but there's a full hour and 30 minutes of those recordings on YouTube. If you just look up Annalise Michelle recordings, very disturbing.
Oh yeah.
And it's really hard to tell if this is real or fake. A lot of people think that she just died because of malnourishment, because the priests were just keeping her in the room doing 69 exorcisms on her. Like, it's fucking crazy. And back to that first story, I think it's very funny that you said that I sounded like a Reddit thing, because that's exactly where I heard that story from. I heard that. We have a dog in here, by the way.
Little guy.
Yeah, we usually keep him outside. If you heard last recording, he was just barking the entire time. Yeah. So he just wanted to be inside, and he's with us now.
Yeah, I like the little.
Yeah,
you could hear.
But now he's here. So, but he's been really quiet, which is nice.
Yeah.
But yeah, that first story was published on r/no-sleep. It was called "My Wife Lynn Has Been Peeking at Me from Around Corners and I Don't Know What to Do." Very, very good story though. Very well written.
It gave me like Junji Ito vibes.
Junji Ito, yeah, 100%. Yeah, like the really big smiles and like 100%.
It also reminded me of the movie Smile.
Yeah, you saw that.
I saw parts.
Yeah, no, it's not a bad movie. But yeah,
I remember when I had to clean theaters when I worked there.
Oh, you were seeing.
So like when I would hear the credit music, and the credit music for that is creepy as fuck.
Oh,
it's scary.
Okay, I don't
because there's like laughter and stuff in there too.
Oh, cool.
And it's like, oh, that's just that makes my bones shiver.
Your bones shiver.
And I remember we thought Auditorium 6 was haunted.
Oh, really?
Because when we went in there, every usher would be like, we feel like we're being watched.
Oh, fuck.
Right now. And
Lynn was in there.
Like crinkling of like bags and stuff.
Oh,
like,
weird. And nobody was there?
No one would be in there.
That's fucking weird.
It's the only auditorium that did it there.
That's really weird.
And there was a Smile one, and I made another guy come in with me because I was like, I'm not going in there alone.
That's creepy.
Yeah.
Yeah. But no, so that was published on No Sleep, and I did originally hear that on TikTok with an AI voice. No, it was actually Subway Surfers. Yeah. Actually, I don't know. It may have been like a mix because it was broken up into like 15 parts because of how long it was.
Yeah. I always like when I get sucked into the black hole.
Yeah, me too.
The Reddit story.
But you know what? I'm not mad at it. Like sometimes they suck, but most of the time it's like really cool.
Yeah.
You know?
I was listening to one earlier, and it wasn't great, but it just had a grip on me.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what you do. It just has a grip. And for some reason, it's if it didn't have the Minecraft parkour or Subway Surfers, it would not be interesting.
No, yeah.
Which is so...
Because, like, sometimes I'm watching that, and sometimes I'm paying attention.
But at both times, you're stimulated by both things.
Yeah.
Like, we're children.
Yeah.
We're all children.
That's like, have you seen the video someone did where they had, like, two like flat screen TVs together? One was like a regular TV show was the gameplay.
Yep. They're doing that a lot now. They'll actually play just like regular movies.
Yeah.
And like do Twitch streams so that people will come into their lives and just like watch Encanto or something.
Yeah.
Like it's so funny. But
these people make bank doing it too.
Yeah.
That's what we should do.
Did you know, and this is a Snapple fact, I get these on my
do they still have like the things?
They sure do, but check this out. About 1/3 of your taste buds are numbed while flying.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
I didn't know how the fuck would they...
Why do they get numbed? Is that why they give you like peanuts and like shitty stuff?
Oh, because you can't taste it?
Yeah.
Maybe they lace it with something, and then you just can't taste. I have no idea. This says a cricket's ear is located on the inside of its leg.
Oh,
wait.
We don't. Wait, what?
Oh, on the tibia of its leg. I thought that said the labia of its leg, and I'm like, they have their labia. It's like oh my god. Speaking of crickets, though, check out that last video.
Yeah.
We're from what?
Familiar with crickets.
Yeah. So you had some more stories for me?
Yeah, baby. That's good.
So I hope you guys enjoyed that. We're going to go on to his stuff. He's just got a bunch of little things. And then I thought we could check out some really awful, like really, really, really shitty 2-sentence horror stories.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Okay. Just like the last 5 minutes. But yeah, just go ahead. Take it away.
I feel like most of these on this website, like they have like punchlines.
Horror stories with punchlines. Awesome.
Like they're relying on the punchline being good.
Okay.
Okay, so this one is number 10.
Okay, awesome. I wonder what this punchline will be.
My 4-year-old son said he wished people didn't have to knock to get into a house. I told him about doorbells, and he asked me if I could install one on his window.
See, that's creepy, but that is
Yeah.
a punchline.
Yeah. Like they're waiting for that emotional punch.
It's like,
Yeah,
ooh,
it's like-
creepy.
it's like, boo!
Boo! Yeah, it's like a jump scare almost, but not really.
Yeah, it's like a jump scare, but you're reading.
But you're reading it, yeah.
Let's see, what's another good one? Okay, this one's number 12.
Number 12, okay.
Every night, my brother and I used to knock on the wall separating our bedrooms. After I came back from his funeral, I could still hear the knocking.
That's good.
I like that one.
How did his brother die? Now I'm curious.
Where's the lore?
Yeah, where's the lore,
I need
guys?
more.
Come on.
Well, this one's pretty long.
Okay.
Number 13. And by pretty long, I mean it's a paragraph.
Oh, boy.
Let me start over.
Go ahead.
I don't know why I looked up, but as soon as I did, I saw a man standing against my window forehead. That's an odd place to pause.
My window forehead?
I saw a man standing against my window, forehead on the glass, still.
I'm sorry, that took me out of it. Okay, start again.
It's just so. Start the thing over.
Yeah, do that over again.
And scene.
Yeah.
I don't know why I looked up, but as soon as I did, I saw a man. I know it's coming. It's so funny.
Okay, go ahead.
Like, look at the, like, read that, and then just window forehead.
Yeah, it's just so strange. It's window, full stop, forehead. Okay.
I don't know why I looked up, but as soon as I did, I saw a man standing against my window.
Okay.
Forehead on the glass.
Yeah.
Still eyes. Lipstick red, cartoonist smile. My wife was sleeping upstairs, our son in the crib.
I'm sorry to stop you. This sounds like fucking Coldplay lyrics. Okay, continue.
I couldn't move a finger, frozen as I watched him pass the glass. With his eepy, with his creepy smiles.
His eepy smile.
He's like dozing off. Still there, he put his hand up and slid it down the window. Watching me with piercing eyes, I just stayed there, unable to move. Feet still in the bushes. I was pruning. Wait, since when has he been in the bushes?
Okay, this is strange.
Looking into my house, he stood against my window.
So you're outside of your house.
Yeah.
That would have been good information to start.
That would have been
with.
great information to start off with.
Okay.
So I was like, oh, he's looking up in his house. Maybe there's like a railing or something.
Yeah, with his window forehead.
Yeah, right there, like, oh, you know what would have been better if it was like a skylight.
That would have been
And
way
he looked
better.
up, and then his forehead was like on the thing.
On
That
the
would've
skylight,
been-
and all he saw was a forehead. And
Yeah,
he's like,
he's-
what the fuck is
He's
that?
like, what the fuck? Where's the rest of the face?
What type of flap of skin is this?
Number 15.
Oh.
It's been 315 days since the outbreak. 187 days since I realized I might be the only survivor. And 3 days since the two of us found each other in the wreckage of the world and made me feel like everything was going to be okay again. After so long alone, I almost forgot that the first sign of infection is hallucinating imaginary people.
It's a very strange first symptom.
Yeah. It's like, oh, there's someone. Oh, wait.
Oh, fuck. I guess I'm
remember what the
infected.
first symptom was.
Yeah. Or I feel like just a symptom of being alone for
There's
180
comments
days.
on this, and the comment on this is, God damn!
God damn!
Already number 16.
Number 16.
Last year, a young girl named Emily disappeared. Now, new sidewalks are being poured into my neighborhood, and I found her name in the wet cement, but it was written backwards and from below.
That's fuck?
That's not possible.
That's not how that works. I don't care how scary it is. That's not how that works.
So she's supposed to be in the
No, yeah, I
right?
get that.
And then she does it like this. That's not how it works.
No, there's concave and convex. That would be
Yeah.
convex because it's going up.
Yeah,
So
because
it would-
like
Yeah, concave is
Yeah.
cave.
Yeah.
And vex is the other one.
yeah.
That's not how that works.
No. And the comment in this is, how? Sidewalks are poured like 6 inches thick at least.
That's what his concern was. How?
Yeah.
Sidewalks are
He even
poured.
put like the emoji that's like,
Uh.
like, huh?
Huh?
Oh, here's what, this one's only 2 sentences.
Oh boy.
Number 17. Are you afraid of the dark?
No. Yes.
That's what I heard just before the light bulb shattered behind me.
Okay. Spooky.
Spooky dookie.
Spooky
Have
dookie.
you seen that meme? And it's like the skeleton toilet, and then it's like a spooky dookie.
I haven't seen that, but
Okay, here's a good one.
Okay.
I don't know if it's good.
Cool.
I just said that. Number 18. Growing up with cats and dogs, I grew accustomed to being awakened by the sounds of scratching on my door. Now that I live alone, the sound is much more disturbing.
Ooh. Oh, that was you. I'm like, what the fuck?
Was this like the scratching on the door?
Maybe.
No.
Oh.
We're like,
I hope that's not too loud.
all right, let's do number 19.
Number 19.
We felt proud as our daughter got on the bus to enjoy her first day of school. Our hearts dropped when the real school bus arrived 2 minutes later.
The real school bus. How did you know it was a fake school bus?
How could you not tell?
Right. It's like her heart's dropped when the real school bus arrived. Okay.
Imagine like you drop your kid off, you're like, man, that kind of looked like a fake school
It's
bus.
like, wait a second.
And then the real one pulls
It's
up.
like,
You're like,
oh, shit.
Oh, this one's another 2-sentence one.
Okay.
Number 20. I was on my way to school when everything in the woods caught my eye. I couldn't get it back. That's just a joke.
That's so stupid. That's just a joke. That's like not even a good joke either.
That's like a joke the kid on the back of the bus would like tell.
And then he'd get punched and
Yeah.
then thrown out of the fire exit. Like, that's like the whole joke where it's like, I wondered why the frisbee was getting bigger and then suddenly it hit me.
Yeah.
Like, it's,
Yeah.
that's such a...
You know who would say something like that? Or like Mason.
It's a woman.
Mason is a woman.
He's not watching.
No.
No.
That's something I wrote in a yearbook, like in middle school.
Yeah, and then I crossed it out, and then you wrote it again.
Alrighty, here's a good one. The world was thrilled. The world was thrilled to hear the first mission to Mars would be led by an all-female crew.
Not with Musk in control, let's be honest.
not at SpaceX.
Not at SpaceX, baby.
A year later, the world was shocked when they all came back pregnant.
How did they get to Mars in a year and back?
There's some problems with this
Also,
story.
if it was just a year, they could have all just been knocked up before they went to Mars and came down 9 months pregnant. Like,
yeah,
what?
the Martians up there were fucking.
They were fucking, and luckily their biology works the same as ours.
Does it?
Well, clearly, because they're all pregnant.
That's true.
Yeah.
They're probably like the Martians from DC.
Oh, DC Comics?
Mhm.
Okay.
No, Washington.
Yeah, I was really confused.
Okay, this one's number 28.
Okay.
I don't know how many of these are on here.
Probably many.
Oh, yesterday I wrote 69 on my wrist as a joke. Today it's 68. And I'm even more worried because I can't wash it off.
I wouldn't be worried. I'd be excited. Like,
Yeah.
oh, fuck, what's going to happen?
I'd be like, oh shit, what's gonna happen in 68 days?
Whoa.
Ooh, this one's a little spooky dookie.
Okay.
Number 29.
Ooh.
Alone in my room, I sneezed softly. Bless you, said a voice.
It was the guy in Florida licking that girl's feet.
Yeah, Charlie Nodo.
Charlie Nodo. Gotta mention him in every episode.
Mhm.
Until he emails us at
Oh, here, number 33. Mommy, my friend is coming over. My daughter cheerfully told me about her imaginary friend. Then the motion detecting light turned on.
Oh, it was a squirrel.
It was probably like a bunny.
Yeah, maybe.
When I came home from a hard day at work, my daughter's smiling face greeted me from the driveway. Where's the rest of her body? There's a girl outside my window. The only problem is that my apartment is on the 7th floor.
Okay.
We're gonna go to a different site.
Hang on. While you're doing that, I want to pull up a couple 2-sentence horror stories that are really bad. Hang on.
I like how like some of those started off as horror stories and then they just became jokes. This
Okay.
one's pretty good.
All right, I got one for you. Show this up. This is called the IKEA incident.
Okay.
I decided to go on a tour of the IKEA factory. Little did I know that I would find the creature that lays the IKEA meatballs.
It's Mr. IKEA himself.
Dad, it's time for you to open your Christmas presents, I said jokingly. My smile turned to horror as his urn levitated and flew towards the tree. One day I was walking down the street and someone started to chase me. He said, "I want to kidnap you."
Think of funny like a skit that would be. Like the dude's walking and he's like, "I want to kidnap you.
I want to kidnap you." He cried when he saw the acceptance letter from Stanford, as he wished his parents could be here to see it. But he had to do it to come up with that orphaned teenager story for the college application. He had to kill his parents.
Oh. That's like I saw this meme and it was a kid dressed up as Batman for Halloween. His parents are with him and someone's like, fake fan.
Fake fan. I just bought new boots to stomp my dog. Oh!
Binky, did you like that one?
Y'all can't see him, but he did not like that.
Yeah, no, he looked like this.
He kind of always looks like that. No, he looks like Ludo from Labyrinth.
I haven't seen Labyrinth.
But that picture I showed you a while ago, what to do with the
yeah, he does look like that.
Yeah. So go ahead, give me some spooks.
This one is called Headhunter.
Mm.
Our family of four. Our family of four.
What?
I said our family of four.
Oh, what is it supposed to say?
A.
Oh, A. Okay.
Yeah. A family of four, 2 young children and their parents, were traveling on the road to DeKalb. When their car broke down, the parents went out to look for help and left a radio on for the kids in case they got bored. By nightfall, the parents still hadn't returned. Sat in the darkness, the children continued to listen to the radio and grew alarmed when they heard that a dangerous killer was on the loose. Having escaped from a prison nearby, the newsreader warned listeners to take extreme care when going about their business. Time passed and the children waited. The silence outside the car was absolute until suddenly they heard knocking on the car roof above them. Clank, clank, clank. The knocks only grew louder and faster. I don't know how to pronounce this thing that they mean, like, so I'm just gonna go doff, doff, doff.
Is that what they wrote? Doff? Yeah, DOUFF.
Yeah.
I would have Doff.
Doff. Unable to bear it any longer, the children opened the car doors and fled in terror. Only the eldest dared to turn to see what the source of their fear. On top of the car was a large man who was bouncing 2 objects on top of the vehicle. The heads of the children's parents.
Oh, fuck. Who's driving the car?
Oh, not them.
Not them. Oh, wait, did the car stop? Did I miss that part?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they pulled over and the parents got out.
And now they're dead.
Yeah. They be dead.
Dead.
Imagine bouncing a head like a basketball.
You'd have to bounce that shit pretty hard.
Yeah.
I don't know that would happen, though.
I don't think so.
No, because heads aren't filled
You probably
with
have to,
hair.
like, pick them up and go, and then
Yeah.
just keep picking them up.
Exactly, yeah, because they would break.
Yeah. Ooh, who's the other one? Which one? I think this one is pretty good. Okay, The Madman Under the Bed. This is a story of a girl from DeKalb called Sarah.
Ooh.
As a child, Sarah was afraid of the dark and got a dog to keep her company. Subsequently, she slept peacefully knowing the dog was under her bed. If she was afraid, she only had to reach out her hand and the dog would start licking until she fell asleep.
I know this story. This is a good one.
Years went on like this, and Sarah grew up and the dog became old. One night on the radio, she heard that a dangerous murderer was thought to be in the vicinity of DeKalb. With her dog at her side, Sarah was not afraid. She got into bed, stretched out her hand, and the dog began to lick her. She slept soundly, and when she woke up, she was surprised that the dog was still licking. Looking under the bed, she screamed. The dog lay dead, and the tongue was so tirelessly licking her it belonged to a man.
See, I heard another version of the story where the dog's licking her.
Yeah.
and then she goes up to use the bathroom, and she finds the dog hanging in the shower with its like stomach cut open, and then she's like, "Who the fuck was licking me under the bed?"
Yeah.
And then that's where the story ends.
Oh,
Yeah,
I like that one.
yeah, that one's good too, though.
Yeah, yeah.
Iterations,
Little different.
little differences.
Oh wait, is this the one?
I'm the one that always knows when you've got uncovered toes. Whilst asleep, I'll uncover your feet, then I'll eat those tasty treats.
Is that MF Doom?
Nope, that is 2 Sentence Horror Stories on Reddit. Okay.
What's the next one?
I went to my grandma's house. Let's just say she wasn't in. That's the whole thing. And then the first reply, where was she? OP replies, she might have been eat.
She might have been eat. Okay, this one's pretty good. So this is called Come Play With Me.
Okay. Come, guys. It's funny.
Some time ago, a friend of mine and I decided to go to a Ouija board for the first time.
Go to a Ouija board?
Decided to do the Ouija board.
I have a Ouija board. We should do that for the Halloween episode.
We should get a Ouija board.
We should. Do those exist? Continue.
Something we had never dared to do before. We called 2 other friends to come over and do it with us, as I had been told that it was more likely something would happen if there was more people.
Generally.
Yeah, because someone like moves it.
Yeah, true.
We had a hard time convincing the other 2, but in the end, they agreed to come along. We got everything ready, and feeling a bit nervous, got started.
Okay.
During the session, one of the girls had called to join us, said, "This is nonsense. I'm out of here." We got a little scared and decided to leave for another time. After a few days, the girl who had left called me. Beside herself, she had said that as she was passing a derelict house near her home on the way back from the local library, a girl dressed in white had asked to play with her. It's a long sentence.
I was gonna say, that's a long fucking sentence.
My friends told her that she couldn't, as she was in a hurry to get home. And immediately the girl began to cry tears of blood.
Oh.
My friend fled, and when she got home, she called me. At first, I thought she was pulling my leg, but somebody told me that was not the case. I thought it was going to be another punchline thing.
Where it's like, but something else was pulling my leg.
But it was my arm.
It was my arm.
I began to think about the day we had done the Ouija board, and how abrupt my friend had been when she got up to leave. It didn't leave much more thought and went to bed. The next day, my friend called me because she was going to be home alone studying, and she was scared. I asked her and asked me to help her to keep her company. I took a bus over to hers, and we settled down with our books. Nerds! After a while, we heard a scratching noise behind us, and we looked up and were horrified to find the girl she had described me. What? To find that the girl she had described to me was sitting on my friend's bed, scratching the wall. We ran out of the room, and when we got to the front door, I noticed that my friend was not there. But I was so terrified. I couldn't make out myself. Couldn't make out with myself.
It was
I couldn't
weird.
make myself wait for her. Shortly afterwards, the police called my house to tell me that my friend had died of an asthma attack.
Oh, fuck.
She had been found on the stairs of her house with a terrified expression on her face. Like something like...
That's the thumbnail.
For 7 months after that, I was in treatment, and I'm now recovering. But the other day, a note appeared in my mailbox, written in a little girl's hand that read... Wait, this literally says, in my mailbox, written in a little girl's hand.
Yeah, it should be handwriting.
Yeah.
Or like script even, but...
Yeah, your friend died because she wouldn't play with me. I have a new doll. I think it's a joke. Our store has become famous in our town. But on the other...
So okay, his friend died horrifically after playing with a Ouija board. He reads a note. Yeah, bullshit.
He's like, that's funny.
That's funny.
Since our story become famous in our town, but on the other hand, I'm scared. I wonder, will she come for me?
She'll never come for you.
No.
Unless you play with her, then she might.
That is true.
Let me get up a couple more 2-sentence horror stories here.
Hell yeah.
When the blood starts piercing the surface, that's when you know the steak is medium rare. I watched helplessly as Gordon was searing what was once my thigh muscle.
Oh, wait. This one was pretty good. No, go ahead. You can go ahead if you want.
No, I'm sorry. I stared at the monitor, quickly altering me. Okay, I stared at the monitor, quickly altering me of the almost empty power supply. And then the second sentence is Furred why. I'm gonna send you the. I'm gonna take a screenshot of this and send that to you so you can put that up there. Furred why. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, this one is called 100 Flights of Stairs.
Ooh.
2 people check into an 100-floor hotel.
Wow.
It's a big hotel.
Big hotel.
When they get out, they leave their key with the receptionist.
Dumbasses. I mean, no, it's a good idea.
She informs them that the elevators are out of order as they return.
Okay.
They walk upstairs to the top, telling each other scary stories on each floor.
Oh, that's like we're doing.
When they arrive in the 100th floor, one of them says, I have one more terrifying story to tell you. The scariest story of them all.
Ooh.
I forgot to take the key.
See, that's the scariest story we've read the whole time.
Yeah, because you gotta go back down.
You gotta go back down. That's 300 flights of stairs. Do they? Oh yeah, no, they don't have an elevator. So there's a couple plot holes there. Like, was the whole thing booked at? Why the fuck would they give you the 100th floor?
You know, they're like, fuck you.
I guess.
Yeah.
I would never go to 100th floor hotel.
You want the man with the bloody finger?
Do it.
Okay. There are many different versions of this scary short story.
Okay.
It is more like a joke and well written.
Most of these are more like jokes, but
yeah. I tell it like this.
How do you tell it?
2 children are home alone when suddenly the phone rings. A hoarse voice says, I am a man with a bloody finger. In 1 hour, I will be at your place. The man keeps ringing the phone and comes closer and closer. The children get more and more scared. Then the doorbell rings. Before the door stands a man. The children open the door and he stretches out his bloody finger. I am the man with the bloody finger. You have a bandage for me? That's it.
So a man found... Yeah, bandage.
You got a bandage for me?
Is this legal? I asked him. We will make it legal, the baby seller replied.
Baby seller?
The baby seller.
Oh my god.
In the middle of the night, your dog stands on his hind legs and says, nobody will ever believe you. Then you see him grab a kitchen knife and run into your parents' room.
Here's the bonus story on here.
Oh, yes.
Tell everyone that you've learned a new story that is really scary.
Okay.
Also, tell everyone that they do not need to worry because it has a funny ending.
Okay.
So don't worry, everyone. It's scary.
We just learned a new story.
But it has a funny ending.
Very funny ending.
Okay. Where is it?
That's the funny ending, guys. Ha!
Okay, tell them again that it is a very short, terrifying story with a funny ending.
Remember, guys, this is super short.
It's really
terrifying.
As
but
a matter of fact,
ending.
it is the world record's shortest scary story with a funny ending.
You heard it here first.
Boo-ha-ha!
Boo-ha-ha. I don't know what I was expecting, to be honest with you.
I didn't know either. Got some more 2 sentences?
Oh, I do. My little brother just came home from daycare. His internal organs did not come home with him.
Did you know that if you took all your intestines out...
It'd be like 30 feet, right?
And laid them on a thing, you'd be dead?
You'd be dead, yeah. Okay, I've heard that before. The Fall Out Boy concert was going great until boys started falling out of the sky.
Oh, it was literally raining men?
It was literally raining men. Let's see. I didn't know where the muffled screams were coming from until I lifted the bun off of my burger. That's when I saw that the patty was actually meat men.
Oh, not the meat men.
The victim was found with 108 Uno cards in his corpse. Then the coroner pulled one out. He heard a tickling sound and noticed the card was marked reverse. Coroner, no you, bitch.
I get it. I like it.
Okay, this doesn't make any... Okay, we chowed down on the delicious mushroom stew we made from fungus that I had foraged outside. But then I remembered I'm a character in The Last of Us, and the mushrooms were zombie cordyceps, and we eventually transformed into clickers.
But then I remember I was a character from The Last
I'm
of Us.
ah, fuck.
Guys, my name is Joel Miller. I'm the lead guy from The Last of Us.
The moon looks beautiful tonight. What's that crawling across it? First comment, Benedict Cumberbatch.
You see the video of him as Smog, like on the ground?
Yes. Oh my god. Your insurance isn't covering the birth. If you don't have another way to pay, we'll have to put it back. A bad rainstorm came up in Deer Woods. I was killed by a bolt of lightning while I slept. Okay.
Oh,
wow.
that's just unfortunate.
I ran into my brothers in maths, waving my calculators and laughing in delight that I'd managed to prove the reality of irrational numbers. The townspeople found me drowned in the body of a pond the next day and were much too afraid of the rich Pythagoreans to challenge them when they called it an accident. What the fuck? For weeks, a strange smell in my house had been getting stronger and stronger. It wasn't until I found a secret trap door that I realized it was the smell of death. Oh, wow.
Whoa.
How could you do this? I screamed as I looked into the mirror, realizing what I've become. Old.
It's a dude who's like balding.
This will be the last one.
Did you find a good one?
Yeah. I took her to my penthouse. Then I freaked it.
Oh!
She freaked it.
Binky, what do you think about that one?
Binky's
He
dead.
didn't even look.
Binky's dead. Hi, Banks.
Okay. I got something for us.
Oh,
These are Halloween Pokemon cards.
Oh, okay.
There's only 3 of them in each.
Did you get these from McDonald's?
No.
Where'd you get these from?
Target had like a huge pack thing of them. You can actually see all of them. There's like 100 and something cards it came with.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Like they're all like over there. Oh, this is another pack.
Oh, like these?
Yeah, like the stack that the dragon dude's on.
Oh, shit. So you've
Yeah.
opened like most of them.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So
So,
we could each open 2 of them and see what we get.
okay.
Yeah.
Is there that like card trick you got to do, or do you just flip through it?
Card
Like,
trick?
well, you know how like you move one to the front and do the shit when you have a full pack?
I mean, I guess you can.
But this isn't. No, this is only 3 cards. Okay. Let's see. We're gonna open up. Fucking. I wish you had like an overhead cam.
I use my mouth. Oh, but don't look at the card, of
Oh,
course.
no, of course not. Okay. So we got. Let's see. First card. That's Litwick, I believe.
This is Poopit?
That's
Yeah, that's
Shuppet.
their name. Yeah, Shuppet.
Then we got a shiny.
Oh, I got the one you just said.
Oh, cool. This is a shiny Dusknoir.
Dusknoir? Hell yeah.
And then we got a thing.
I don't know what this one
Is that was like another shiny.
This is a shiny.
And this is Miss Magius.
Marshadow.
Marshadow.
Oh, it's a rapid strike one. Too.
Oh, so there we go. I don't know if these are tournament legal.
I don't think they wouldn't be able to.
What did I put?
They do got the little Pikachu on them.
They do. Have you seen the Mario and Luigi Pokemon cards?
No.
Yeah. So they each cost like $200 or something, and there's only 2 of them, and it's just Mario and Luigi. Well, it's Pikachu dressed up as Mario and Luigi.
That's amazing.
It's really cool.
I heard that they're making a new one for the Van Gogh.
Oh, really?
That they're making like Pokemon cards that look like his art style.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
You know what I get really fucking pissed about sometimes? Like Jake Paul, or is it Logan Paul? One of them has like the most expensive Pokemon card, and they just wear it as a necklace. I really hate that.
That's stupid.
It's really stupid.
Do you know? Did you hear the Lord of the Rings Magic cards they were going on?
Oh, really?
And they only made one of the One Ring, and it's like it's like a foil one or something.
Oh, what? Wait, like one that like one.
Yeah, one. Like it was like, so you can get other ones,
but it's in circulation.
Yeah, no, somebody
okay.
bought it.
Oh.
But it was Post Malone who has it, and he paid like.
See, I respect
for
Post
it, I think.
Malone way more than I respect Jake or Logan.
Because I'm like, Post Malone, he's cool. He can have it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jake Paul's just gonna wear it as a fucking necklace.
Yeah, because like he has it in like a case and stuff, and it's like a prized possession.
Yeah, I mean the same thing with Logan Paul. He has it like in a case, but he wears it around like a gold chain, and he just like flaunts it and stuff. And it's like
And it's like, why are you doing that?
Yeah, because you don't even like Pokemon.
Yeah.
Post Malone is somebody I could totally see playing Magic.
Yeah.
100%.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, okay, this one, here we go. We got a Phantom. You got a little guy. We got a another shiny. Oh, I know what this one is. That's the sparkly horse.
Oh shoot.
Are these from Lost Origin? I believe they are, because I'm actually collecting this set. I almost have the full set actually. Then we got the Drill Flume.
And Hound Doom.
If we got any card that's worth over $5, let us know.
Yeah.
I'll let
keep these.
I don't need them.
You keep them.
Because you don't want them.
I already got all of those.
Oh, fair enough.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that has been the Friday the 13th special episode, spooktacular, spooky season. What was it? The spectral. What?
Spooky?
No. Let's come up with a new one. Spooky.
Okay. Spooky
people.
Lounging
around town.
I like that.
Okay, cool. So this has been S.P.L.A.T. This has been spooky people lounging around town.
With Binky, you want to come?
Binky.
Come here.
Well, he's wagging his tail.
So he's happy. Are you happy? Don't look at me like that.
Come on, man.
Give me that dog side eye.
Yeah.
Like the.
Yeah. We like to play a game with Binky. It's called One Bark for Yes, Two Barks for No. It's not called that. It's just called Ask Binky. Yeah. But he's not talking right now, so we can't ask him any questions.
Hey, express yourself. Start talking.
Speak, dog. Oh well. Whippersnapper.
You're doing so good. He's the MVP here.
He is. Yeah. We expected him to make a whole ruckus. I'm glad that he didn't, though. Yeah. Very glad that he didn't. So we're probably just gonna have to keep him in here throughout the next episodes, but you won't be able to see him. Yep. So I hope you guys enjoyed. This was not nearly as long as I thought it was gonna be.
No, yeah.
But that's good.
Yeah.
So hopefully you small little attention span fuckers enjoyed it, like me. Bye.
Bye.